Diablo, they said we're gonna do this, 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 and this. Or even WoW, like we're gonna have this and this and this. And 90% of the stuff they mention never sees the light of day. The reason why is because they have to say something, because one, they just spent millions of dollars to have this convention, but two, because there are now investors behind them and they want to hear what they're producing. E3 and most big gaming conventions are not for us, even though we would like to believe so. They're for the people who throw money at them.
Right.
And so that's why they can say stuff like, we have one coming, but it's real top secret. We're developing it.
But wouldn't that just upset the people that are putting money into it to have 2 years now to say we thought we were going to get something that's a little bit more solidified? Why hasn't that happened yet?
No, because what they do is they do the old switcheroo where they say, oh, yeah, come see this, and then they throw Toby Turner and the girl from Archer up on stage and say, like, boom, here's something completely different. Gotcha. I mean, that's what they do.
Kanye, dance to our game.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all about money and mind tricks. And throw more money. Usually, I'm guaranteed there was, like, at some point there was, look, we really want to make this next gen, we just don't have the funds to do it. We could really use another check.
I mean, last year, when they announced the Wii U, Nintendo stockholders were like, you called it the Wii U, why? And Nintendo stock just was like a roller coaster for a few days throughout E3 because everyone was like, you're right, Jesse. It goes to the whole fact of like, throw money at it and see what happens. And I mean, I tip my hat to Nintendo for at least announcing something. But I think you're right, Dodger, in the sense that, yeah, we're just remember this game, it's coming out. Just don't forget about it. Like, remember Milo for when Kinect was called Project Natal? Now we were all like, holy, we're gonna talk to a British guy and he's gonna help us out with homework and we're gonna help him out and it's gonna be so interactive.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, and then
the creepiest game ever. How could you forget?
Oh God!
Oh my God! How we have been lied to for far too long. That's the last straw. I wanted that so badly.
So did I.
Totally forgot.
Why did you want that?
It was like Max Headroom. Remember that guy? If you're in your late 90s like me, you remember that character. It was a talking head. It was like yep, like that was a thing from the 80s.
Yeah.
No.
Whatever.
There is one other possibility about next-gen consoles, by the way, something that we haven't actually covered yet.
What?
And I'm stealing this blatantly from someone on Twitter who's reminded me conveniently of something I already knew, of course. But bear in mind televisions, right?
Yeah.
What is the next standard of TV? Can you know this, right? Raise your hand if you know.
What do you mean?
What
standard?
What is the name of the next TV standard? Like 720p, 1080p. What is the next one?
Oh, I thought it was 240. Whatchamadoozits with
It's 4K. It's 4K.
Really?
Yeah.
4K, then
That's a big jump.
Supposedly 8K when it gets
Exactly. So I don't know about you, but I've seen those things, and that's a hell of a lot of resolution. Like, to the point where PCs at this stage would even struggle. I run I've got a tri-monitor setup, and iFinity on a single graphics card, like a high-end one, is not a very good idea. You really want to be doing it on two if possible. Playing something at 2560 by 1600, which is marginally better than 1080p, that will hammer any of the current graphics cards into the floor, depending on what settings you've got running.
Do you think they're waiting? Is that what you think?
I think maybe they are.
They're already doing it. What is it? The jump in megahertz from 120 to 240 or whatever that is? They already started doing that with TVs, and you can already tell the difference. When it's real high definition stuff, it looks glorious, but anything over a year older looks like junk. Like it's like they've upgraded to the point where anything old now looks like garbage. Like that's where we're at with TVs.
It looks like you're filming a home video.
Right?
Because of how fluid it looks.
Yeah, I mean if it's really good, like I was in a Best Buy and they had one of those TVs on. They were showing Game of Thrones, which I thought was hilarious because I was like, how are they showing this in public, right? But they were showing Game of Thrones, and it looked like you were on set with them. I mean, it looked amazing. But then I was like, well, what else does this do? And I started flipping through it with the guy, and he was showing just a normal TV show, and like the TV was having to render stuff. It was like all choppy because it was like an old TV show.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
it's the same as what you can currently do with I can't remember what it's called. Like various TVs I've owned have had this. It's the idea of increasing the frame rate of what would otherwise be like a 24 FPS film or whatever, and it makes it look weird. It makes it look like a
Yeah.
sitcom. It looks very, very odd indeed. And that's the same thing, essentially. It's processing that, and you're talking about a television essentially upscaling not only its resolution but also its frame rate at the same time. So
Yeah.
that would be a real problem. But this is another possibility, isn't it? Really, when you think about it,
For
it's
sure.
that they're
hadn't
waiting
thought
to
about that at all.
see. Okay, do people adopt 4K? We need the hardware that will run on 4K, because if we don't, just bear in mind, by the way, that Sony also sells televisions. They're a bit
Yep.
invested in people owning these damn things.
But doesn't this then go again to the fact that the hardware war has, like, it stopped? Like, there's a really weird truce where
Yeah.
before it didn't matter if it was, oh, well, let's wait and see what happens, because there was a point in time when it was HD DVD versus Blu-ray. And it was like, which will come out on top? Like, that was a thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Right.
And, like, after that battle ended, all of it stopped. Like, once Blu-ray won, all the, like, what are we going to throw at them next ceased to be. And I don't know if it was because Microsoft blew their load on, like, they ran out of money. And, like, we really
I'm
thought
sorry,
HD
Microsoft
was
ran
great.
out of money. Really?
Right, but I'm saying, like, clearly that's not the case. So what happened? Why after that? Like, I'm just curious. Is why I would love an explanation as to why the hardware wars for 10 years was just like next, and then just stopped. And not since mid last decade has anything new come out. It's that's a big change.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Oh.
I don't think anyone has an answer to that, really. We don't. The point is, we don't have the information.
I
Yeah.
think we stumbled upon a dark secret. Right now, there's an evil cabal getting together secretly, and they're like, yes.
Their cloaks.
That's what it is, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Incidentally, someone just tweeted me that this blows the lid off everything. Think about this for a second. About to blow your mind. The PS4K.
Ooh. That's not a bad idea.
PS4K?
That could be a thing.
Could be.
That could be a thing. Well, the thing is that Sony is pretty adamant about their console being what they said, a 10 to 15 year console. They
Christ,
PS
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing is that
They want to
you know,
replicate the PS2 success, of course.
Yeah, and I don't think it's gonna happen. They're gonna have to do something new soon.
Do they understand the rate at which technology has increased? Like the exponential rate of technological change
I'm
in the last
going to
20 years?
assume that a company like Sony probably understands technology
You would think
fairly
so.
well, yes.
So to say 10 to 15 years, that's an inherently stupid thing to say, especially from a tech company. Because nothing now is set. Like most of the stuff you buy now, they honestly will say like maybe 3-year lifespan max. Like that's how long. Like, I mean, and that's a company like major companies. I remember there was a press conference where Apple was like, look, iPad 3 or whatever the new one was, they're like, look, it's functional, but in about a year and a half, there'll be a better one. Sick thing is that people who love Apple will buy that new one.
Oh,
But
yeah.
To be fair, Retina display is actually fantastic on an iPad.
It's
Just want to point
pretty
that out.
awesome.
It's
Right.
so captivating.
But it's that increase that, and a lot of people in chat when we were talking about gaming, they were like, why is everyone still on this whole thing about iPad and iPhone games? Like, I hate to break it to you, that's where people are putting their money to develop gaming right now.
Well, of course, because it is cheap to develop for. You can get excellent returns.
Mhm.
People buy these games, play them for 5 minutes, and never play them again. Why? Because they're $1. Who really cares? I like having a library of games on my iPad. At some point, I may wish to play one of them. At some point, that might happen.
Apple, for the most part, is just competing with themselves. Like they're
Right.
just one-upping whatever they already made. So it's like it's such a different concept that way.
And that's what sort of, and that's kind of how I feel about Nintendo. They keep trying to one up themselves, but unfortunately for Nintendo, they don't try to one up anyone else. Like
Yeah.
their goal is we're gonna make something a little bit better than what we have, but we are gonna like rock the boat. I mean, those Microsoft and Sony guys, they're cool. We don't want to mess with them. It's like mess with them. That's what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
You might be right there. They have been rocking the boat for a while. Ever since, to be honest, really, it's been since the DS. You know, which a lot of people, when it first came out, said, "What the hell is this?" And one of the most successful handheld consoles of all time. They then followed up with one of the most successful home consoles of all time in the form of the Wii. Yeah, I don't blame them for wanting to do that. It's been working pretty well for them so far, but the question is, can it continue to work well for them?
And that's the thing. I mean, you can only go so far with handheld titles before you realize that, and this is, I think, the problem, is that phone handheld titles are inherently cheaper, and you're not, a lot of people don't want to take a DS and then a phone with them wherever they go. They want to have it on one thing.
I'm okay
and
with
that's
that,
why people get phone games, right?
You're right. Most people aren't okay
Most
with that.
people don't. And I think there's a certain point where the market stops, where you can only sell so many DSs and so many, things like that. And then, now Vita's trying to get in on it, but Sony and Microsoft have never been able to conquer handhelds as much as Nintendo. But Nintendo's problem, right, is that everyone has a phone. So eventually it will you can only do so much of it.
Nintendo
so
will make
consoles have to start again. We need consoles. We want you. Why won't you? We are willing to put money and just throw it at you. Why don't you give it to us?
It's true.
All right, so
It's letting us down.
Completionist, your topic, please.
All right. So I think my topic, this is one that really gets on my nerves a lot, and I might single people out, not negatively, but
Please do single them out negatively. It's much more fun that way.
I'll make sure to tweet everyone you mention.
Yes. By name.
Go on.
It's more of a general consensus of people, like a specific group. But for me personally, before I did YouTube stuff, I worked at Best Buy for about 6 years. And I've seen a lot of evolution of different gamers just kind of born out of buying a console. And one thing that's just been on my mind, even till this day, is there's this subgenre of things called bro gamers.
Oh, yes.
Where it burns me to see them exist. But essentially, they come into the store, and they're like, "Do you have any great games to play? What games do you have?" I'm like, "Oh, we've got Assassin's Creed, we got Uncharted, this." And it's like, "Do you have the new Call of Duty?" "Yeah, of course. We have." "Yeah, it's like that's a great game. I have to have that game." "All right, well, here you go." And a few weeks later, "Hey, I come back. What do you got?" "Well, I got what we had before, but we also have got these games. These are new too." "Okay, you have the new Call of Duty." And it's like, no, there are other games besides Call of Duty. You don't need to freak out about it. And that's my thing, is that there's almost this new spin of bro gamers that really kind of floods the market now. And I think that's fascinating to me, that now it's not only what's new and different, but now it's first person shooters are the way of bro gaming future. And I think that's my topic.
Okay.
I mean, they keep that franchise alive for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Call of Duty. I like it. I played it. I had them, but it's almost like people who say they are gamers, they're hardcore gamers, the casual gamers, they're gamers. They say that Call of Duty is the game that they play. That's what they associate to. It almost creates this weird kind of stereotype in a way. Jesse, you're going to say something that's going to beat me up. Go ahead.
No, it's not to beat you up. I'm trying to weigh how offensive my comment will be versus how much backlash I expect to get. But basically, I am of the belief that, I know I'm going to get a lot of angry messages, especially in chat.
It goes up to 11. You see, right across the board, 11. Oh, Jesse, why don't you just take the offensive meter of 10 and make that louder?
Yeah, okay, I got
This goes to 11.
I gotcha. Okay. I am firmly of the belief that a majority, not a vast majority, but 51% of the people who really love, warfare FPS games and buy them religiously, that's all they play, are too much of a pussy to actually join the real army, and that's how they get their kick.
Really? All right. Okay, that's a nice assumption there with no evidence or basis in fact.
I told you we went to 12 on that one. I'm letting you know. I just feel that, because you're right. They are those there's a lot of the tough guy like meatheads. When we were at E3, Dodger and I were walking around. We saw those gamer guys who were they're the ones who were picked on in school all the time. So rather than become full-fledged nerds, they went muscle bound. They got roids. They were good to go. And we saw there was one guy. We were at one of the booths, and Dodger will have to back me up on this. The guy who looked like one of the characters from Dead Island.
Straight
and
up.
I was like, wait, is Dead Island 2 here? Is that a thing? And she was like, no, I think it's just a
God,
guy.
I hope not.
Like, it was a dude who looked like the guy who has like the like mohawk thing from Dead Island. And he was just like ripped, like walking around. Like,
I mean, we all know a lot of guys like that, though, right?
right,
You know, it's,
right.
there's nothing wrong with it. It's just there's
why
definitely plenty of dudes who were picked on a lot, and then they reached a point where they said, "I'm not getting picked on anymore," and they got ripped.
Yes, no, and so
Okay,
cool. I'm using that simple theorem that everything's cause and effect to say that the guys who are really like, "What's up, bro?" Yeah, the real tough asses who probably in school pretended to be hard ass as well. When they play games like this, that's their violence released to the point where, like, I would go and join a real army and shoot people, but instead I'm going to sit here and play this.
Well,
I'm willing to say that. I'm willing to offend a vast majority of people to say that there are people like that.
I'm sure there are people like that, but I just want to ask, what exactly is wrong with people just playing one kind of game? There's plenty of people that also just listen to one band. You know, and that's the extent of their musical like. I barely listen to music anymore. I just don't have the time. I used to listen to all sorts of different things, but I would limit myself to metal only. You know, I would only ever listen to metal. I wouldn't listen to any other genre, and that's an entirely legitimate decision to make, surely. So some people just want to play a specific kind of game to fill their time. It's not a big part of their life. What's wrong with that? I don't get it.
I don't think there's anything. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I think at least for me personally, my whole view is that now more than ever, you see a lot more games replicate and go after that Call of Duty.
Well, of course,
kind of.
I mean, it's highly successful, isn't it?
Well, that goes
that's
back.
the thing at the moment.
That goes back to what we had said at the beginning, where games have become mainstream, and the mainstream games are the ones that they can get everyone to play. So it's a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of FPS shooters, a lot of dance games, a lot of like, oh, we can get the whole family in, but it's not actual, like, you know, it's what the four of us here, I guarantee, would expect more from gaming companies than those few options. Like, if that's all there was, I wouldn't be a gamer.
Well, of course.
I'd be like, I'm going to go outside today and find something to do. Like, that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Go get me a tan.
Naturally.
I think what was frustrating for me when listening to Gerard's story was that the idea of somebody coming up to you and saying, "Hey, do you have a great game? Like, what game would you suggest?"
Okay,
and then being like,
that's legit.
"Forget all that."
It's like you don't
Call of
actually
Duty."
want to know.
That would be so
Exactly.
That's not what you're
almost
asking for.
Yeah, it's like almost as if that Call of Duty is the holy grail of gaming, and that any other game out there or anything that tries to be it is just one step below it.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. But at the end of the day, this is not the first time this has happened by any stretch of the imagination. With different genres, it keeps happening, and it attracts different kinds of people to gaming in general, and they have a very narrow view of what they want from gaming, and they may actually not play games in the next couple of years. You know, when Call of Duty gets old, which it already is, then those players will cease to become interested in it, and they'll just transition on to something else. I think you've got these. They are casual gamers by definition, I suppose, because they're not interested in gaming. But then again, you can also say the same thing of people that like football but don't watch any other sport. Right. That's okay, isn't it? That seems fine. They never watch a basketball game or a hockey game, but they want to watch football.
Remember when the same thing could be said about sports games? There was always those dudes who, oh yeah, I'm a hardcore gamer. Like, what do you play?
Madden.
Oh, Madden,
FIFA.
NBA, right? Like NCAA, yeah. Like that was a thing, and now that sort of died down, and it's moved on to shooter games. Here's my dream. I desperately give it 10 years. I want to see like hardcore, like, you know, those casual guys who love playing FPS right now, be like, yeah, you got that new Final Fantasy? I hear that's the dope shit. I want that so badly. By God, I will live to see that day when there's a bunch of like high school, like the jocks in high school are rocking out to like, like I want that so badly.
Amazing.
Dear God, make that happen. That's part of our game. Add that. That's a level where you have to get jocks to play Final Fantasy.
As God.
Exactly.
Pick them up and drop them into like, yes. Oh.
And it all comes full circle. How wonderful that is. people just, they like what they like, and life is short, might as well. I don't personally find it offensive, but as you said, why ask for good games when all you really want is COD or something very, very similar to COD? I think it's just more of an issue with terminology, isn't it? You know, it's people that don't really know a lot about games, and they think that's the sole purpose of gaming is to get points, shoot people, get more points, get levels to get better guns to shoot more people. And yeah, it's not. But how exactly do you fix that? I don't think you do, because it's just going to keep happening. It's been happening for ages, for God's sake. It's been happening since the dawn of gaming. People want a similar experience to what they used to.
Well, and it's funny you say that it's going to go away eventually, just because it seems like every year Activision's, they announce like this new game comes out, and then you find out a week later Black Ops 2 is the most pre-ordered game in the history of games. And then like next year, like we're probably going to get Modern Warfare 4, and then we're going to see a game trailer, and then the same thing again, like Modern Warfare 4 has been the most pre-ordered game of all time.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's been growing.
It will eventually stop. Eventually, but
the worst
not now.
part is the initial offerings in, Modern Warfare and Call of, all these gaming franchises that are FPS, the initial offerings were actually really kind of fun. And over time, they've become progressively worse, and the community has become increasingly worse.
Well, that sounds fairly familiar. We could just throw it back to Final Fantasy, having exactly the same problem. When you continue to make these franchises, some of them do tend to go down that route.
Yeah, and I think this goes back to the Jesse theory of decay. Everything gets worse over time.
That was not your theory. That was nowhere near the same theory as you had said the first time.
You know what?
Not
If you get to change your mind about gaming,
I have a flow chart, bitch.
You know
Seriously.
what?
I got a guy to make me a flow chart so that I'm gonna break this out.
My opinion stays the same. Facts change. My opinion stays the same. That's how I roll. So, and I believe that I'm correct. So I'm correct. Right now, that guy in chat, I don't even have to look. The guy in chat who always says I'm a smug bastard is right now typing, Jesse is a smug bastard. I don't even need to look to know that's happening.
I love that guy.
He is fantastic.
Oh no, did I closed it. Gotta open that.
You closed the chat? That's a fantastic plan.
I
All right,
closed
we
the
are
chat.
about wrapped
I
up, but we do have to promote some fellows, folks. Yes, Game Station. We've got some videos. You know what? I'm going to actually take the initiative and start with mine.
Do it.
So this is by a guy, goes by the name of Campster on YouTube, aka Errant Signal. He doesn't make a lot of videos, but the ones that he does do are really, really great. They're essentially video essays on the subject of particular topics. He's done one on Sonic and speed and the relationship between the two things. He's done one on Bastion, Doom, Mirror's Edge, Half-Life. This one in particular is on the issue of so-called gamification. So let's take a look.
Gamification's been getting a lot of buzz lately from a lot of different sources. From conferences on how to gamify your office at work, to websites adding experience bars or badges, to evangelists shouting from the rooftops about how great gamification's going to be, the general consensus seems to be that we're on a path to make everything fun and rewarding. That games will make school and work fun, and the lines between boring, responsible stuff and cutting-edge entertainment will be blurred away to nothing. But the reality of what gamification means is a little more pedestrian than that. It's been getting a right proper thrashing from a number of respected academics and designers, but I haven't really seen enough sources discuss the subject matter in a way that isn't speaking to other academics and designers. So I'm not going to say anything really new about gamification here, but I'm going to try to highlight some of the points that I don't think are touched on enough to players, workers, students, and anyone else who happens to run across implementations of this idea. First, let's establish what gamification isn't. It isn't games like Carmen Sandiego or Oregon Trail. Those are actual games created with the intent of using game mechanics and simulations to inform or educate. Gamification is more akin to the Pizza Hut Book It program that gives kids pizzas in exchange for reading books. It's effectively the act of slapping an extrinsic and often pointless motivator to an activity in order to entice people to engage that activity longer or more often. I'm going to state this as clearly as I can. The point of gamification is not to make things fun. It's not to make every aspect of our lives a super enjoyable experience where we're constantly rewarded and given praise for every action we take in the right direction. It's not going to turn work or school or exercise into an experience comparable to Gears of War or Portal. So just get those thoughts out of your head right now. The point of gamification is to exploit instinctive human reactions to basic stimuli in order to get you to do something you otherwise wouldn't do. It utilizes collecting and hoarding impulses by providing you a list of badges to complete. It gives you Skinner boxes and experience bars and leveling up mechanics in order to make you feel more productive. It creates a positive feedback loop where every action you take to the benefit of the system's owners grants you more rewards. It then compounds all of those features with a need for social recognition and praise by making these badges and levels viewable to everyone, establishing a social...
Alright, there we go. That'll be enough of that. He has a tendency not to stop talking, which I can definitely respect.
I like the way that he sets up his videos. I think that they're fun.
Yeah, they're well constructed. They're very well constructed, in my honest opinion.
I'm checking out the channel right now.
Yeah, he hasn't done a lot yet, and he's a recent addition to the game station. I think he's like great. I hope he makes more of these. I really do, because they're genuinely entertaining and very informative, and they give you an interesting glimpse at the psychology behind all of this stuff.
I likes it.
Indeed. Completionist, what is your opinion?
Yeah, sorry, I stepped away for a quick second. You caught me. I got nothing.
Yeah, it's great. I like it. 10 out of 10.
Is 10 sub-like Facebook tweeted.
Yes. YouTube.com/Campster. Campster is where you want to go to
I
check
apologize,
out.
Campster.
Yeah, Campster for Errant
Sorry.
Signal. Please,
Gonna
by
get
all
that
means,
TGS
go and have a look.
podcast bump.
Yeah,
It's good.
always good. Check it out in the description below this video. All right, Dodger, what you got?
Mine is Unit Lost Tube. They are also newer to the game station.
They are,
it's,
yes.
It's a couple of dudes that do just general gameplay, but they're doing the game DayZ, which is a zombie mod.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be pretty awesome. Like the zombies, the AI around the zombies is focused on like hearing and like different senses, and so the zombie AI is really interesting. And also there are a lot of things associated with how you get hurt and like how much you're bleeding, and there are a lot of consequences
Very much
for
a survival
being
mod.
hurt or dying. Yeah, very
it's for
cool. So
Arma
they've been
2,
doing like
for
a
those who
zombie
don't know.
survival thing.
All right, well, this is, I believe, part of a live stream that they did, so let's take a look.
Oh shit, bloke, behind you. There's a fucking guy behind you with a crossbow. He just went straight into the side of that building. Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay. Yeah, I see him. I see him.
Waste him. Fucking waste him. Open up on him. Where is he? Where's he gone?
Gone up here.
Did he see you?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Why is he coming
There
in?
he is. There he is. There he is.
Wait there, let me get a firing solution on him.
It's on the second level.
Where? He just reloaded his gun or something, or was that you? I don't know.
That's me.
Oh god.
Went off to the...
Where is this fuck?
Come
Son, is he fucking double back?
Look, he's over there.
Where? Where?
Going up the steps. Going up the steps on the outside of the building. Oh,
Pull back, go pro, do something.
tried to cap me. There he is.
Waste him, waste him. We've hit him a few times. He's bleeding, see his blood's coming through the thing. I'm advancing on his position, keep cover, so keep him pinned down. The fuck you, get back to where you were, you bastard. Jesus Christ. Following me around like a fuck.
Oh, the kill. Where is he?
Kill? The kill don't mean
Vanished
anything.
himself.
Where is he? Where is he?
He's hiding behind the boxes. Vanished himself.
He's bandaged himself.
Yeah, the bleeding stopped.
He's not around here by these boxes. I can hear a zombie quite close to us because of the shooting.
Oh shit, there he is.
Where?
I've killed him. The zombie, I mean.
there's more gunshots going off. I don't.
Yeah. There's zombies with the steps. I'm just got killed.
Oh, I see this guy. Bro, he's got me fucking riveted. Bollocks.